After my husband passed away, I withdrew from everything. The silence of the house was overwhelming, and the feeling of missing him lingered for years. It was as if life had come to a halt, with joy and meaning slipping away. I realized I needed something new to pull me out of this state, so I decided to take up horseback riding. Trying something so unfamiliar seemed like the only way to feel alive again. I signed up for lessons, fully aware it wouldn't be easy. The smell of hay, the rhythm of the horse's hooves, and the wind against my face awakened a part of me I thought was lost. It wasn't quite the adventure I had imagined, but it was a chance for a fresh start. At the riding school, I met Blake, the youngest instructor. He had a commanding presence. The moment I saw him, I felt a spark. He wasn't just young, he carried himself with confidence and grace. It was as if he belonged with the horses, moving seamlessly among them. When he entered the stall, everyone else seemed to fade away. Time seemed to pause, and everything felt centered around him. There was something compelling about Blake. It wasn't just his appearance, with neatly styled brown hair and piercing green eyes. It was his demeanor, the way he moved and spoke. His quiet yet firm manner made me hang on to his every word. He was polite and kind, always with a slight smile. Yet, there was something in his eyes, in the way he observed me as I struggled with the horse, that quickened my heartbeat. I tried to concentrate on my actions, but I couldn't ignore the flutter in my chest and the shiver when he approached to adjust my stance or offer guidance. His proximity made me nervous in a way I wasn't prepared to confront. I was unsure of what was happening. It seemed impossible. He was so young. I was a 55-year-old widow, while he was 28 and in a completely different phase of life. He was like a refreshing breeze, and I felt like a withered flower, yearning for color. Yet, there was something in his eyes that suggested he was more aware of me than I ever imagined. It thrilled me, making me question if my feelings were more than just a passing attraction. I found myself thinking about him more than was reasonable. When he corrected me, his voice carried an undertone of familiarity that left me vulnerable. It was as if he was waiting for some cue from me, something that would compel me to make the first move. I couldn't determine if loneliness was distorting my perception or if he truly understood what I was experiencing. All I know is that when he smiled and looked into my eyes, something inside me stirred, reminding me of what it felt like to be noticed, desired, and loved. And as I rode, feeling the wind on my face and the dust being kicked up by the movement, a new feeling took over me. I no longer knew if I was there just to learn how to ride, or if I was there searching for something more. Something that Blake seemed to be responsible for awakening in me. The lesson had ended a few minutes ago, but I was still walking slowly through the stables, watching the other students move away. The feeling of tiredness, but also of satisfaction, was in me. That day had been especially good. The horse was responding better, his posture was firmer. Even at my age, there was still something exciting, almost youthful, about learning something new. As I passed my horse's stall, I remembered that I had left my bag on the shelf next to the saddle. With a sigh, I decided to go back and get it. I didn't rush, because the place was quiet, with only the soft sound of the horse's hooves and the whisper of the wind coming through the open windows of the barn. When I reached the stall, I saw Blake, carefully brushing his horse. He was alone, like me, and the sight of him there, so focused and with such a lightness in his movements, made my chest tighten in a strange way. He seemed so natural with the animals, so at home, as if he were part of their world. And somehow I felt like he was starting to become an important part of my world too. Not knowing what to do, I approached slowly. I didn't want to interrupt, but the look he gave me as soon as he heard me approach made my heart beat a little faster. He smiled, that gentle smile that made me feel both comfortable and vulnerable. "Forgetting something?" he asked, his voice calm, without stopping to brush the horse. "Yes, the bag," I answered, feeling the tension in my voice, even though I tried to hide it. I went to the shelf and picked up the bag. But I didn't rush to leave. Something told me that at that moment I should stay there. And it was he who broke the silence, as if he felt the same. "I was thinking about you during class," he said, without stopping to brush the horse, but with a tone that immediately made me feel seen in a new way. Something more intense, more direct. "You've been a very diligent student." "I'm just trying to learn as much as I can," I said, trying to sound casual, but there was something in me that was allowing myself to be more open with him. As if I knew the barrier between us was starting to break down. He stopped brushing the horse and turned to me. His gaze was like a flame ignited, something I couldn't ignore. He looked serious, but there was a light, an intensity in his gaze that made me uneasy. "I know you're trying," he said, taking a step toward me. "But I also sense that you're striving for something more. To feel free, maybe. To feel alive." I stood there, unsure of what to say. He was watching me closely now, and something between us was becoming palpable. The space between us was shrinking, as if an irresistible pull was pulling us closer. I knew what he meant, knew he had sensed something I was trying to hide even from myself. I tried to take a step back, but he took a step toward me, and in that moment, I froze. The words escaped me, as if I was finally allowing myself to be honest with what I was feeling. "Blake, what do you want from me?" I asked, my voice lower, almost a whisper. I knew my question was loaded with meaning. It wasn't just about what he wanted from me in terms of learning or instruction. I wanted to know what he wanted from me as a woman, what he saw in me when he looked at me. He smiled, a grin that was more confident and genuine than ever before. He wanted to show that real freedom comes from letting go. When he looked at me, I felt truly seen. His words struck a deep chord, uncovering something I had hidden from even myself. Before I could respond, he moved closer, and the energy between us grew strong. He asked me gently, almost intimately, seeking my approval. There was no need to state his intent, it was clear. I knew he understood my desires too. My whole body reacted to his gaze and presence. I turned toward him, realizing I couldn't back away. Not with him so close and his words echoing in my mind. Finally, I said, "Yes. Let me see, Blake." In that instant, as he moved closer, doubt disappeared. This meeting was the start of something deeper and more powerful, something I had hesitated to explore but now found irresistible. Blake looked into my eyes, his smile both gentle and inviting, as if he understood without words. With a nod, he urged me to follow, saying, "Come." That simple, "come," held great meaning. We both knew this wasn't just a horseback ride but an exploration of something more, something growing between us that couldn't be ignored. I took a deep breath, my pulse quickening. Instinctively, my body moved closer to him, responding to his voice. Blake took the horse's reins and brought it to me. His eyes held expectation but without rush. He wanted me to be at ease, which only heightened the tension. Gently, he helped me onto the horse, standing close by. The proximity was electric, I could feel his breath as he adjusted the seat. That simple act of helping me up created a sense of closeness and an exchange of energy between us. Blake's intense gaze held a tension that made everything else fade away. The answer was already within me, silent. I wasn't just ready for the ride back, but for everything our connection symbolized. Ready, I whispered, my voice soft. Yet, he seemed to understand completely. Blake jumped onto the horse behind me with a fluid motion, so close I could feel his body merging with mine. He took hold of the reins firmly and got the horse moving. As he guided the horse, the only sounds were the soft thud of hooves on the ground and the gentle breeze around us. My body adapted to the horse's rhythm, and Blake's presence became more noticeable. His warmth enveloped me, his breath hot on my neck, and our closeness made it hard to breathe. Blake's secure presence and the horse's speed made me feel different, exposed but strong. Being there with him opened something inside me, a new experience that made me question what else I wanted. I broke the silence with, "I like riding like this." He gave a soft smile, understanding without needing more words. "I get it," he replied, acknowledging both the ride and our connection. An unspoken offer extended beyond the horse's speed, embracing the moment, our closeness, and the tension. I said nothing more, but our relaxed pace deepened our closeness. I knew he was leading me somewhere I couldn't return from, a place where barriers would disappear. I was ready to follow, not knowing the destination but sensing something significant was starting. Blake saw determination in my eyes and understood I was ready to enjoy the sheer joy of speed and closeness with the horse. This journey was more than just physical. It was about shedding the weight of daily life, feeling the wind on my face, and letting go. I quietly but firmly said, "I want you to lead us." My eyes were steady, my smile vivid, as if I was relishing something new and revitalizing. Blake understood my words with calm certainty, gripping the reins tightly. With a swift motion, he started the horse, digging his heels into its sides, moving into a gallop. The pace intensified. I felt the rhythm change, the trot's slow steps turned into a fast gallop. The powerful thud of hooves and the wind on my face made everything feel timeless. I surrendered to the moment, caught up in the power and freedom of galloping. My heart raced, my breaths deepened, and time stretched before me. Almost whispering, I cried out with excitement in my voice. Blake watched with satisfaction as I embraced the experience, noticing my usual tension melt away. He, too, was immersed in the moment. The horse's steady rhythm, the natural surroundings, and her presence made everything come alive. Their path seemed to stretch on forever, blurring the line between them. This ride encapsulated the thrill of the horse, the joy of speed, and their silent connection. With her hair blowing freely and a slight smile on her face, Barbara felt a freedom she hadn't experienced since her younger days. As the gallop eased, Blake guided the horse to a quieter area of the field, where the movement was calmer yet still charged with the energy of their shared freedom. Relaxed, Barbara took a deep breath and looked at Blake with an expression that conveyed more than words ever could. "I didn't know I could feel this way," she confessed, her voice tinged with gratitude. Blake, still beside her, offered a gentle smile. "I'm glad you allowed yourself to feel that. Life has more to give than we often realize, doesn't it?" She gazed at him, appreciating not just the man but also the significance of her journey. This moment was about more than just the gallop, it signified a new beginning. Thank you for listening. Did you like these infidelity stories? Drop a comment below if you want part 2. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more cheating wife stories.